I'm the realistic Geometry Dash icons guy. I'll admit it, we all know it, but something came up that made me rethink that. You see, the trailer for the Minecraft movie just came out and people weren't too fond of its style. You may be wondering what that even has to do with me. But as some have pointed out, it looks a little similar to the style of my videos. So instead, for this video, I'm going to combine two random icons to make one super icon. To start, we're going to use this random number generator, and using that random number, our first icon is cube 427, which is this. And now to find out which icon we're going to combine it with, 80, which is going to be this one. Normally, I would use Photoshop, but for this one, I'm going to use Illustrator. Because in Illustrator, we can use image trace and get these nice clean edges. And with each one traced and highlighted, we can go ahead and hit expand. And then with just a few touch-ups, we have some pretty perfect renditions of these icons. And now I'll see what I can do to combine them into one. So let's grab some of the most prominent features from both and put them in this square over here. Let's take the eyes from the first one, but I think the eyes from the second one are also important, so I'll take this pupil and I'll kind of squish it up against the edge here. And for the other eye, I'll take an ellipse, and then after selecting all of it, I'll take the shape builder tool and just draw in each one. That way, when I color this one black again, and I bring back the gray, I have this eye, which I can smush up against the side here. The next important thing from the top one is going to be this mouth. So I'm just going to bring that over and then shrink it down just a little bit so we have room for the brain. But I don't really like how it looks when I squish it like that, so instead I'm just going to use the knife tool and I'll bring this one down in order to preserve the line weight. Then all I need to do is get rid of that thing on the inside, then I'll bring it back in, but just a little bit smaller this time. And obviously the side here is a little bit messed up, so I'll drag around these points and push in these edges. Then once I get it almost there, I'm going to select it all and use the shape builder tool to recombine all of these edges. And this way we're going to have a much easier time selecting all these points and creating a much smoother curve. Now that we have these ferocious jaws in place, let's move these eyes down just a little bit so that we have room for the brain on top. For the brain, it's going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to divide the top by using this, which might not be the best way, but I can slice off the top and then take just these points so that we can drag it on top of the head. I'm actually going to move everything else down just a little bit so that we can have more room. And using these points on top of our eyes here, we can connect the eyes and the brain. And going back to our shape builder tool, we can kind of glue them back together. And I think for the last little missing part on the bottom, I can drag this over, and I might need to move up the mouth a bit to make room. And then after attaching these, I think this is going to be a really fun icon to use in game. I've actually been learning a lot through these videos, which is super helpful. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. As someone who spends way too much time in Photoshop, I'm always Who are you? Skills and learn new techniques to improve my designs. I've been exploring a few aspects of Photoshop and diving more into Illustrator, which I'm sure you've seen in this video so far. Have you been back there this whole time? That's why you should know that Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, offering thousands of classes led by industry experts. Whether you're into film, illustration, design, or even productivity hacks, there's something for everyone here. It's a place where you can go from beginner to advanced in any topic in no time. I don't usually feel like there's much left to learn in Photoshop for me, but immediately after joining Skillshare, I was proven wrong. I found this course on retouching by Daniel Nabucco that's actually been a game changer for me. I learned what check layers are through that course, which has been super helpful, so I really do recommend it. I also really appreciated the fact that he did a quick segment on why we retouch photos, as I think that learning why we do things is really important for the learning process. I agree with all of this, but can you leave now? I have to. Skillshare offers a much wider range of topics than I originally expected. I genuinely think that there's a class for everyone here. I mean, they've even introduced new categories like AI and innovation, which is kind of needed in today's society at this point. I also found that with Skillshare's new system, I could easily find classes by sorting by specific material or software. This makes it easier than ever to get exactly what you need to enhance your creative projects. Finally, Skillshare's approach to learning, where you can interact with the supportive community and share projects after completing a class, really helps with the learning process and growing your skills. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So don't miss out and click the link before anyone else can. Go learn something new, specifically Photoshop, so you don't have to keep asking me to make your icons. Gerald. Wait, are you me?
Bye, Emerson.
I don't know how to move on from that one. Second game mode in Geometry Dash is the ship, and there's actually 169 of them. So we're gonna go ahead and pick two numbers from 1 to 169, and 60 is our first one. Ooh, this is gonna be a really interesting one. So let's see what our second ship is gonna be. And this is ship 46. So let's put both of those right into Illustrator, and then I'll shrink them down so that we can fit them correctly. But of course, I also need to vectorize them. This one's exciting because I've never actually seen anybody use either of these icons. And I wanna start by actually getting rid of this guy's tail. I'm also gonna get rid of his nostrils here. And I wanna incorporate this long, squiggly line that goes across the body of this second one. In order to do that, I'm going to take this curve tool and I'll trace the curve of the line. And then if we give it a stroke, give it round caps, then we can go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke, and then give that its own stroke. Now I want to make sure that this is an outline, so I'm going to hit align stroke to outside, and then we can shrink it until it's just about the exact same width as before. Then we can simply set the infill to nothing, make our stroke black. Now we have a much smoother version of that worm shape. And I think the best way to integrate it would be replacing his lower jaw. I can stretch it a little bit with the transform tool, but to make this easier, I think I should bring the legs away for a second, get rid of this bottom jaw that he already has, replace it, and then move the legs back into place. I'm gonna keep the fact that there are 2 teeth on the top here. Let's cut off this one and move it over. Actually need to make sure I can fit this in the right area here. I feel like with enough finagling, I'm gonna be able to fit it into place. I do like when it's attached there. That looks good. Okay, this foot looks most natural right here, and the other one should probably go on the back like this. That means we're leaving this foot hanging and it needs something to hold it up. So here's what I'm thinking, and you let me know if this is stupid in the comments. I don't care. What if I take just this back part here and then I flip it upside down and use it as a kind of stomach for him? And I could also use this as one of his arms, which should work just okay. I could also then move his back leg in a little bit. I'll bring this part forward, and I think we're starting to get somewhere. And because this one has a tooth on the bottom, I also want to add it to this. So I'll just place it there, I guess. Maybe I should rotate it just a bit. Now it's really looking like something. And you know what? I'm starting to think that it actually should have eyes again. So I'm going to put one back. I might shrink it just a little bit. But yeah, this is really getting somewhere. I'm enjoying the process here. I think I also want to make this piece longer, and it's kind of a staircase effect. But I also think that means we should even out this side a little bit. And yep, that's looking a lot better. I wonder if a nostril would also look good. Looks fine. And the last thing I want to do is finish off this tail here, but we can't just take the tail that we already have. Maybe we should use one of these spikes that's on the back. And to do that, I'll simply take this shape, rotate it a little bit, line it up, and then extend this point just a little bit. And I don't want to tangent with that leg, so I'm going to bend it. And in order to do that, I just have to hold control and then pull this little dot. And there we go. We have a super spiky tail and a completed icon. And one of the things I'm actually most excited for with these is that when I play with them at the end of the video, we're going to see where I put the 2 colors. And that's just going to make these even more awesome than they already are. So if you want to see that, keep watching to the end. Alright, there are 118 different ball icons here. So let's see which one we're gonna get. 92, which is this one. And then 107, which would be... Oh, my icon. Okay. By the way, forgive me if you hear music in the background. That is my dad. He's been making music his whole life just because he enjoys doing it. And I hope he's not watching this right now, but he has always been one of the most supportive people in my life when it comes to YouTube and doing the things I love. I could never repay him fully for the person he's been in my life, but you can help me try. So if everybody watching this video went down in the description and clicked the second link, it'll take you to his music page. And all I want you to do is just listen to one song. He's never done this for anything but the enjoyment that it gives him. And I want to make his day by getting at least a few people to go listen to his music, because not enough people have. He also has all his music on streaming services. I'll put the link right down there as well. But please, no matter which way you can access the music, go give at least one song a listen. Thank you so much, and back to this. Okay, so now that I have both of these vectorized, which took longer than I thought, I'm gonna have to decide which parts are the most important on each. So I think I want to start with the outside of the fuzzy, because technically this one has a similar shape, but it also has another more inset shape. So instead of taking it directly, I'm gonna use it as inspiration, and I'm gonna draw another shape on the inside of this fuzzy outline. And then you can kind of see the idea. It's a mix of both. But what I want to do is take a chunk of this, which is probably the bottom, and then with this guide circle, which I made using effect and then transform, if I double tap it, I'll be able to go into the group, and then hopefully, yes, wherever I draw, it'll show up on all sides. I'm gonna use a black brush and just draw over these lines. Doesn't have to be perfect because I can adjust them, but I'll just do it for 1/8 of the circle. Okay, so now with everything else hidden, I can just put this here and then move this one to lock it onto that same area. Then I gotta make sure these sides match up as well. And then once we hide those red lines, we have a perfectly symmetrical object. Okay, the next thing we need to do though is decide which parts of each face we're taking. And you know what? Why not both? So let's grab these eyes. First, I want to bring this mouth over. It looks so goofy. Now that we have that, I feel like we could bring this X onto the eyes and just replace the circles. Try that on this side as well. And I think that looks pretty awesome, actually. Maybe I'll thicken them up a little bit. Yes, that looks a lot better. All right, so the last thing I need to do is add the shadows that are underneath this guy. Maybe I'll use this kind of shadow that they have underneath the eye on this icon, where I'll just drag this down a bit and I'll make it gray. Yeah, that looks a bit better. This one's a bit creepy, but I do like how it turned out. So let's go on to the next icon, which is going to be the UFO. 3, 2, 1. One more number generator for this video, and there are 149 UFOs, so let's hit generate. 25. So here's our first one, which is going to be very interesting. And then we'll do 22. Oh, wow. So here's icon 22, and we're going to merge it with this one. So let's bring those two in. Because you've already seen this a few times by now, I'm going to skip past the whole image trace thing. Okay, that took a while, but we're going to mash them up now. The obvious first step is going to be the dome. Then I'm going to have to find a way to combine these dead eyes with the very expressive cat eyes. I do really like the shape of this one though, so I'm going to grab that first. I'm going to try to bring in these eyes, but I'll put them closer just like they are on the cat. I'll bring the other eye in as well. And to match the cat eyes a little bit, I feel like I have to make them bigger and more crazy looking. I'll make it so both pupils are looking different directions. Then I'll add extra points here that I can attach to the eyebrow. That way when we select the bottom here, we can make the eyes bigger. We're also going to need this nose from the cat. To make it easier to grab, I'm just going to trace this thing. I think I'm kind of losing the top icon a little bit, so I might move these pupils back to the middle. Then I can put the cat nose here. And of course, I have to bring these giant cheeks and whiskers in there too. But the issue is that this guy looks disinterested. In order to keep that expression, I'm going to trace these just normally, except when I put it on here, I'm going to make them flat. And you know what? I think I don't even need to change them much, because if I just move the pupils up a little bit, then remove these inner lines, then he looks pretty angry anyway. To avoid an uncomfortable tangent down here, I'm going to move this part of the jaw up. And with the shape builder tool, I'll remove these two lines. Then all I feel like I really need to add are the ears and the shadows. Again, I'll go in here and trace. And with a perfect replica of this ear in place, I'm going to paste it up here and just put it in place where I think it'll fit. I might also make it flatter to match the kind of flatness of that icon. Then I'm going to use the scissors tool to cut a piece out of this path. And that means that I can detach it and delete the points that we don't need anymore. I'm going to connect these 2 points, hit Ctrl J to join them, then connect the bottom of the ear to this mouth. I also think I should reduce the shadow here a little bit, and I can copy everything to the other side. I actually think the ears are sticking out a bit too much, so I'm going to move them in. And I'll move these points inward a little bit as well. Let's bring in some whiskers, and then we can get to shading this thing. These are kind of in the way here, so I'm going to rotate them and put them a bit further down. I like how that looks, so let's reflect it to the other side. Now we almost have a finished grumpy cat, and I say almost because I have to add some shading, which shouldn't be too hard. And lastly, I think there should be some gray underneath his eyes and in the middle. We'll just add that, the path below everything else, put some in the middle too. And with the reflect tool, I can reflect this across an anchor point, then merge them with the shape builder tool. I can also do the same thing to this one to make sure it gets to the other side correctly. All I have to do is just find a point that's perfectly in the middle and then hold shift and drag it across. Finally, I'm going to draw in this background white color and then put it in the back. And we have our final combination of icons for today, which I'm super proud of. I'll go ahead and put these in the game and then we'll see how they look. 3, 2, 1. Ugh. 3, 2, 1. All right, it's been a few days, but I've finally put those icons in game, and it's time to see what they look like. Here we go. Oh, this one actually turned out so well. It's kind of disgusting, the mix between the brain coming out and the teeth. But hey, I think that looks pretty good, man. I want to see it platform mode. Oh my god. This one turned out so good. Again, if you want to use these, I'll put them in the description. All right, now for the ship. I'm going to go back into Stereo Madness, and we're going to have this goober flying on top of the ship. Here we go. I already forget. Oh my god. It worked so well. I wonder if the glow's a bit too big. Either way, I love how that one turned out. Next up, we're going to need to see the ball, which I think I could see an X step pretty early. My little cube jumped through the level. Oh, this one looks good. I want to see it in platform mode to see it still, so let's look. Oh, wow. It actually turned out so well. I did try making the eyes white on this one. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. It's a ball rolling around. Kind of looks like a normal Geometry Dash icon. In an alternate reality, we got this. Okay, we have one more, and that's going to be the UFO. Let's do theory of everything. And I only did 4 kinds of icons in this video, so let me know if you want a part 2 where I'll do the rest. But first, we're going to finally see what that UFO looks like. The cat looks so scary when it's staring deadpan in the camera. I see that one in platformer as well. Let's look. He looks so creepy. I don't think the shadows really help with that. But hey, it turned out great. I couldn't be happier. Look at that. So if you enjoyed that, let me know in the comments and have a good one. Thanks for 50,000 subscribers.